Hello friends, welcome to UPSC Logics, and in this video we shall have a look at the Charter Act of 1853. This is relatively a very important act because it was the last Charter Act before the 1857 mutiny, and of course after this the Government of India Act started getting implemented. So the next was the Government of India Act 1858. So without wasting any time, let's begin with the Charter Act of 1853. So why was this act important? Number one, it was the last in the series of the Charter Acts. Number two, it was a significant constitutional landmark. Number three, this Charter Act of 1853 indicated clearly that the rule of company was not going to last a long time, and it was seen in 1857 there was a mutiny, and after which the British government took over. Number four, the power and influence of the company were curtailed by this act. Number 5 was the British Crown could nominate 6 directors, and further marks the beginning of parliamentary system in India because of the key feature that Legislative Council was clearly distinguished from the Executive Council through this act. And number 6 feature was that the Governor General was relieved of the administrative duties of Bengal. There was a Lieutenant Governor appointed for the ruling of Bengal, and there was no Governor General appointed till the year 1912. So the Governor General of Bengal or India was to devote his whole time to work for the government of India rather than look after the administrative duties of Bengal as well. Features of the Charter Act of 1853. Number 1. Separation of legislative from the executive. The legislative and the executive functions of the Governor General's Council were separated through this act. A separate Governor General Legislative Council was established with 6 members, and this was known as the Indian Legislative Council. This council acted as a mini parliament and adopted the same procedures as the parliament. So you can understand this was the beginning of parliamentary system in India, and legislations were treated as a special function for the government for the first time. Then of course there was the introduction of the open competition system for selection of civil servants, and it was thrown open to the Indians also. Macaulay Committee was thus appointed in 1854, and it deprived the Court of Directors to directly appoint and recall officials in India. That was given to it by the Pitt's India Act. So this was one of the features that was given before and then was taken away. Of course, we have seen how the Court of Directors had negated the introduction of civil services through the Charter Act of 1833 as well. So the next feature was the extension of company's rule, and it allowed the company to retain the possessions of Indian territories on trust of the British Crown. And it did not specify any particular period, unlike the previous charters, indicating that the company rule may be terminated at any time. So in the previous charters, the company rule was extended for a period of 20 years at one time, and this particular act did not mention any time period as such. The next point was the first time local representation in the Indian Legislative Council. So out of the 6 new legislative members of the Governor General's Council, 4 were appointed by the local governments of Madras, Bombay, Bengal, and Agra. The next feature was the reduction in the number of directors of the company. So the number was reduced from 24 to 18, and out of these 18, 6 were appointed by the Crown. Then the separate governor for presidency of Bengal. So it provided for a separate governor of Bengal apart from the Governor General of India. Till now the Governor General of India was also looking after the administration of Bengal, and this was changed through this act. And the power to appoint the Lieutenant Governor was still retained by the Court of Directors. So a Lieutenant Governor was appointed in 1853. However, no governor was made till the year 1912. The next feature was the power to constitute a new presidency. So the act empowered the Court of Directors either to constitute a new presidency or appoint a lieutenant governor. So in 1859, a new lieutenant governor was appointed for Punjab, and the provinces of Assam, Burma, and central provinces were created by the Governor General of India Council. So let us have a look at the genesis of the Indian civil services. And the previous Charter Act of 1833 had laid down that the Court of Directors should nominate 4 times as many candidates as there were vacancies, and from which the candidates would be selected through a competitive exam. The Charter Act of 1833 also provided that Haileybury College of London should make a quota to admit the future civil servants. However, the system of open competition was never effectively operated. So a committee was set up under the chairmanship of Lord Macaulay, and they prepared regulations in this particular context. So their report said that Haileybury should cease to maintain as higher education college for the ICS, and there should be a broad general education rather than specialized education for the ICS recruits. The recruitment should be based upon an open competitive exam to bring out the best of the candidates and not through mere superficial knowledge. The appointment should be subject to a period of probation. The Charter Act of 1853 deprived the Court of Directors of its right of patronage to Indian appointments, and now it was being exercised under the regulations. And this was the birth of the civil services, which was thrown open in 1854 to an open competition. So if this question comes, when was the ICS thrown open to everyone? It was in 1854. So let us have a look at the history of the first Indian to join ICS, and it was none other than Satyendranath Tagore. He was the first Indian to join the ICS, and he was the elder brother of Guru Rabindranath Tagore. The ICS Act of 1861 established the Indian Civil Service, and it was not an easy task for any Indian to go to England and compete with the British for the position. Satyendranath Tagore went to England in 1862 to prepare for and compete for the ICS, or the Civil Services examination, and he got selected in June 1863. So he completed his probationary training and returned to India in November 1864. His first posting was at Bombay Presidency, and during the course of his service, Satyendranath Tagore travelled throughout the country. His posting outside Bengal helped him learn several Indian languages, and he took keen interest in the activities of Brahmo Samaj and Pratna Samaj. He retired in the year 1897. So friends, this was a bit of information about the Charter Act of 1853, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you are watching it for the first time, do subscribe to this channel. In case you are a regular subscriber, don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get regular updates from UPSC Logics. Thank you so much for watching, and Jai Hind.